gonna be cool.
The topics and opinions expressed on the Dudes and Beer podcast are intended for an audience of 18 and up and are solely those of the host and guests. They neither reflect the opinions or values of either the sponsors of Dudes and Beer or your mother. I mean, seriously, have you ever heard these guys? They'll talk about anything.
Whoa, hey, you think they're gonna show it? They'll probably just blur it out. Whoa, check it out, Beavis.
Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 86 of Dudes and Beer, coming at you live from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, right here at the Palazzo, overlooking Treasure Island and the mountains. We have a great view here. I am Chris Jordan, your host. With me tonight, just like last time, is Matthew McPeek, Kenneth Dewar, and tonight on episode 86, we're going to get a little introspective. We're going to talk about the concept of love as men in a modern-day society. You know, men are programmed in a certain way in America, and we're taught to believe certain things. We're taught that manhood involves certain things. How does that both conflict and contribute to our concept of love, the relationships that we get into, why we get into them, the things that we do for love? We will get into that and more when we come back from this message from our sponsor.
Three drunk drivers.
Hey everybody, Chris Jordan, host of the Dudes and Beer podcast here. Has this ever happened to you? Tired of looking in your rearview mirror after a couple of drinks with friends or worrying about no-refusal weekends and DUI stops? Are you planning a night on the town and want an easy, safe way to get around while still having fun? Well, Fare is the ride service for you. Simply download the easy-to-use and free Fare app from the Google Play Store or iTunes Marketplace and use promo code DUDES10 every time you ride with Fare to save 10% off your ride. Have a Fare driver you liked riding with? You can not only give them a review and tip, but you can add them to your preferred drivers list on your Fare app and request them every time you ride with Fare. You can schedule rides with Fare to pick you up immediately or as far as 30 minutes to 7 days in advance, eliminating the need for last-minute calls and allowing you to pre-schedule pickups in locations other than your home city. Perfect for those traveling for business or for fun. So don't forget to stop on by and download that free Fare app and use the coupon code DUDES10 every time you ride with Fare to get 10% off your ride. That's right, don't forget the coupon code is DUDES10. So be like Dudes and Beer, everybody. Party safe, use Fare, and drink responsibly. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. So we were just talking off mic about love, things like that. Let's talk about where we came from, families, stuff like that, because that's where a lot of it starts, the whole concept of love. You were saying, Ken, that you were brought up with a lot of ladies in your family.
Yeah, you know, because my mother divorced early, and so it was always my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather died when I was at a young age, so it was always women. So, you know, I guess my concept of love is, you know, maybe more construed towards the female aspect or female version, or the way they consider love to be, I guess. But, you know, a little bit, I guess, more romantic, I guess.
Sure.
Passionate. Not, you know. I mean, there's two sides to that, too, but...
Okay. What about you, Matt?
I grew up with both parents. I have a brother and a sister, so I didn't really have, you know, any type of... where, you know, some people really only grow up with their, let's say, their grandmother or something.
Sure.
For me, I think the first love I ever felt was for my dog.
All right.
That and my cat, too. I used to sleep every night with my cat, and
okay.
I loved my dog, man. I still love my dog now.
Yeah, and I mean, I grew up in a divorced home. My parents got divorced when I was about 2.5, something like that, 2.5 or 3. For me, like, literally, It was the norm for me. I didn't understand, like, whenever I first went to my friend's house and, like, mom and dad lived together, what's that about? Like, I guess I saw it on TV and stuff, but I didn't realize it was, like, a real thing. You know, my life was not that. But a lot of my concept of love came from my mother's family, came from seeing people being around each other, caring about each other, gathering together at times of the year to be with each other and spend time with each other. And it's interesting that you said your first concept of love was your dog. That's what I'd kind of like to go around the table with is, what do you believe love is? What is your definition of love?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't think there's only one kind of love.
Sure.
I think there's
there's
different levels, you know, like there's the deep, passionate love, or, I mean, I can go to, you know, because I'm married, so there's, you know, I'll always love her, you know, no matter what happens, I'm always going to love her, I'm always going to care what happens to her, always want her to be at her best and do everything for her. Then there's always the in love, you know, you love somebody, but are you in love? And that in love is where, the way I see that, that's like the passion. That's where the passion is. The passion, like, oh, you know, it's where the passion, the lust comes from. I guess you could put into that as well. So you know, I see love as not one thing, but as like an organism, or, you know, because it's a human emotion. There is no right way, wrong way. Yeah. You know, because you can also love too much, love too hard, which hurts people. Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, love can rapidly lead to obsession. Yeah. That's just dangerous. That's creepy. Yeah. Don't let your love be creepy, y'all. Yeah, you see creepy love ain't the love a lot of people want. Yeah. Some of the stuff you see ends up on cops, you know. Yeah. End up on, like, you know, murder, rape, SVU or something. Or, like, you know, there's the, you know, every once in a while I see all those stories where, like, you know, I started doing drugs for him because he did drugs. Yeah. So I thought it would connect us. Yeah. I thought it would bring us together. Or we had a baby because of it, you know. I mean, I guess we're focusing on the negative part of love, but... Well, but see, that's the thing, though, is that the concept of love that society gives us, that we hear about in song, that we see in movies, that we read about in books, is that, like, real world love. That's what I'm getting at. Because, like, for me, like, kind of like we were talking about off air before we started the show with Jeremiah whenever he was here, for me, love means under all power of mine, the world will go on spinning with you here instead of me. I will give my life for you. I think that you are that important to the world. You are that important of a person. Self-sacrifice. Because I don't believe love is an accident. Love is a verb. It's an action word. It's something that, like, you have to actively take part in. Yes. You have to give of yourself. You have to really sacrifice of yourself to truly love somebody. You know, and in order to do that, you have to first love yourself, in my mind. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Because, you know... really understand what love is if you don't love yourself. Well, it's... the same concept at least you have a skewed reality of it, and that's when you get into those dangerous situations. Well, it's like you were saying about the drugs and love. It's like an alcoholic trying to help somebody quit drinking. Yeah. You know? It's the blind leading the blind in that situation. And if you aren't comfortable with yourself, if you aren't happy with yourself as you are, with or without somebody, to say the whole Jerry Maguire, you complete me concept, that lays a lot on somebody, man, and that puts a lot of responsibility on somebody's shoulders in a relationship that can be, like you said, a very harsh, overbearing love, you know? I suppose now, sitting here thinking about it now, I mean, I guess really, truly, you know, say, you know, you're in love with your, you know, you're married, you're in love with your wife. You know, that's, you know, to me, I guess that means, you know, you work together as a team.
Yeah.
That you become a cohesive team.
Yeah, you literally
You
become
know each other well.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's...
Yeah. It's the unspoken shorthand. Go ahead,
Let me ask you this, Chris, or Ken, I'm sorry. When you became a father, like, what was it like experiencing a completely different, new kind of love? And how was it different from when you first knew that you loved your wife enough that you wanted to marry her?
Well, I mean, okay, so...
That's good, man. That's good.
I mean, that's the whole long story as far as how I ended up coming to marry my wife. You know, we didn't get married until we were in our 30s.
Sure.
You know, like I had said, we had a very long courtship. We had dated very young and gone back and forth and done other things. But yes, you know, and at the wedding, when I saw her when I got married, she was nervous. You know, I just yes, this is the woman. You just feel nothing. There's no negativity.
Yeah, no doubt.
The world's yours, hers. You know, nothing is wrong at that point. You know, I feel that, and it's coming back to your question. When I saw my daughter for the first time, you know, it took me a minute to realize what had actually happened. But then just that wash of this is my daughter. She's part of me for the rest of my life. Yeah, and I'm you're like, I'm going to take care of her. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. You know. And I think I went into that a little bit on the last show, whereas, you know, sometimes, you know, maybe earlier on you love too much. You don't want anything to happen. You know, love too hard, I guess. So you keep them from things because you're trying to protect them. Yeah, yeah. And then it kind of slowly dawned to me, you know, love is really understanding that they were really their own person. Yeah. And then being able to let go and let them experience things in their own way. You know, and that's... like a fatherly love, I suppose.
And, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. Number one, I'm an expectant father. So to hear this point of view and to hear this is very important to me. Hugely important to me. Because that's something that here in about 4 months will be like straight true reality in my life. Right now it's on an echo sonogram on a huge plasma screen in a dark room, which is pretty dope. They got some cool tech. I gotta say it.
Have you got one of those 4Ds yet? Those are awesome.
Yeah. But
4D, sorry.
Over New Year, I saw my mom with my niece, JC, who is the daughter of my cousin, who was like my sister. She was like 2 years younger than me. We grew up spending summers together, everything. She died very young. 28 years old of hyper-aggressive breast cancer. So everybody has rallied around JC her whole life. And there's JC, and she's friggin' 17 now. My mom's like, oh, I'm so sad. She's 17. She's all grown up. And I'm like, you know, no offense, but if you ain't seen this coming for 17 years and gotten over this, like, that's your issue, man. Like... Like, you've had 17 years to realize the fact that she is an independent human being and that she will grow up and that she will not be a kid anymore. You know, and sure, you hate to see that go, but it's a reality that you have to have in your head. Like, it's got to be there somewhere. Come on. So, like, how do you... Because, I mean, like, everybody projects into the future. You got to... I don't know. Like, how do you deal with that as a father? How do you deal with... fighting the negativity that can happen, like you said, wanting to protect them, but also knowing that they're an individual and they have to have their experiences, and that it's your love of them as a parent that has to let them have that experience. What's that like?
Well, you'll probably go through it as well, because you're going to have that wave of emotions, you know, that passion. I mean, I don't care how... You could be the sternest man, never show emotion, you know, have a poker face, but the minute you see your firstborn child, you know, it changes you, you know. Yeah. It's a totally different responsibility, and, you know, and you'll get it, and you'll want to protect them, and then one day you'll realize, you know, that as they get older and they start showing you their personality, you know. And that change, you know, back to the love topic. I mean, that's the same thing. You love them a different way as they grow as a
Yeah.
person themselves, you love them in a different way. And, and then you'll have to also fight sometimes the disappointment feelings too. And you still have to love them at that point and let them go through what they're going through. Sometimes they just need to go through things on their own, and sometimes they need to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can definitely say I felt that from the other side as a kid, because I was talking about that earlier with Jer before you guys got here, that a lot of what led to issues with me in life was that I felt as though I had failed people with decisions that I'd made in my life, and hey, that's my own thing. I was much like I told my mom, you're the one that was hung up on that issue there. She's just living her life. You're the one that's hung up with the problem.
Yeah.
I was hung up with the issue.
You were not loving yourself the way you needed to be.
Exactly.
Understanding yourself.
Exactly.
And, and I could see it in you now, definitely, that you know your own self-worth and you love yourself. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm happy for you.
I am.
You've moved on to a better place.
Yeah, I am a happy individual in life.
Your career, you're loving life right now.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. And it's funny because I technically live the American dream. Don't mean you make a lot of money when you live the American dream.
Just keep trucking.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. You can still have a family. You can still have a house. You can still have things.
I firmly believe if you positively focus on the thing that you love and do that,
exactly,
it will always work out in the long run.
And that's just it. That's a big part
as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, it always works out.
And that's a big reason why I see my success is because I hear people out there, you're just horseshit. No, I literally love what I do every day. Every day, whether it's building pedals for Screaming Effects, working gigs like this where I get to play with people's expensive toys and make corporate people feel at ease with the technology that they're dealing with, and make people feel good about themselves and their presentation during the day and give them some confidence in themselves. Or whether I'm coding website, no matter what it is, I am loving what I'm doing. Everything that I'm doing is something that I love to do. So it's not work to me.
Don't worry, everybody. The poopy diapers will keep
in
check in the future.
Yeah. Well, and that was a discussion that we were having the other night that you weren't a part of. Was I'm looking at using cloth diapers.
Oh, okay.
Because
me and my wife discussed it at one point. We just didn't end up going with it, but we did consider the option.
Yeah. Well, and it's mainly because we're both self-employed. We're both at home 70-80% of the time. So why not? Better for us to do laundry than to be spending money on diapers all the time whenever we're self-employed. Hey, you know as well as I do, in a dead month, it's crickets. It's crickets at the freaking ATM depositing checks. You ain't got nothing going in a dead month when you're a freelancer. So, those incremental things, hey, we send them to grandma's house, absolutely. Here's some Pampers. We go out into public, absolutely. Let's bring some Pampers. We'll put Pampers on the kid.
Let's get into
around the house.
Let's get into love of, other things besides a person or
well, because that's just it. Love is a broad term. Like I said, a lot of what I define myself with is the stuff that I do, and I do the things that I love. I live my life passionately through my passions and through my loves, like my music, stuff like that. You're a musician, Matt. You're a recording engineer by trade. Ken?
I'm also very passionately in love with the Seattle Seahawks.
That's true.
Seahawks.
It's true. You are quite the Seahawks fan, my friend. But and those things make us who we are. That's what makes up our personality.
Our passions,
that's a different kind of love. Yeah. Much like platonic or brotherly love. I look forward to these gigs that we have because I see us as a little family, and it's like I get to come and hang.
Absolutely.
It's like I'm going to Houston and hanging out with my brother for the weekend.
Yeah.
Except I'm making some money while I'm doing it.
Right.
You know, which gets to happen next weekend in Houston. But
Go Texans!
Go Texans! Go Texans! That's right. Yeah, I actually won money. My first layoff bet ever.
No shit.
I won. I won.
Vegas got you. Oh, actually, you beat
I
Vegas.
beat Vegas, so can't lay off a bet again.
Oh man,
I'm 100%.
You're among the few that have bet on the Houston Texans and have
won.
Won money.
And won money. That's right.
Well, Brock Osweiler won you some money. You would have fucking done that.
But yeah, you know, the things that we do that bring us love and joy, like Nelson, who's one of the guys who's regularly on in Austin, just recently started working at an auto shop again. And he is passionate about cars. He loves turning a wrench and getting dirty and working on cars, and he's a service writer again. He's getting to work on stuff and, you know, help people out with their rides, and he is so much happy.
That was his vineyard, you know.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, you always hear about these business people, you know. Oh, I was a stock trader, but I hated it, so I went and bought a vineyard, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't, you know, that was their passion. And as long as, you know, they did it for the right reasons, you know.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the main thing. You got to be doing stuff for the right reason. Otherwise, I really don't think. I think the universe, like I was saying earlier, really will put hurdles in your way purposefully if you are on the wrong path. If you're apt enough to pay attention and see those signs and, you know, learn to, like, whenever you're at the party in college and then there's just like that funky feeling in your stomach and you're like, I really feel like I should leave. I don't know why, but I really feel like I should leave. And then you do. And then you find out that, like, the cops came, like, 10 minutes later and everybody got busted. And you're like, oh, my God. Whoa, that's freaking creepy.
No.
Like, that's real. And you can actually, like, learn to kind of hone that intuition. And, you know, I'm a big believer in that. So I look for those signs a lot in life, in friendships, relationships, that immediate vibe that happens. And I saw it a lot whenever I worked doing music. It's the synergy of what happens between a stage and a crowd when a show just clicks, you know, and something magical is happening.
So I want to change the gear here real quick.
Go ahead.
And I want to ask a question. So do you think love, the emotion love, is solely a human thing?
No.
Do you
No.
think animals love each other?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yes.
'Cause, I mean,
Yes.
like humpback whales mate for life. You know, there's some bird species.
Swans, I think, are one of them.
Yeah, and not just the mating for life. It's shown in studies with elephants, with herds of elephants, where they will literally go and, like, visit the carcass of their dead one and, like, you know, rub them with their trunk and, you know, love on them just like they were alive.
yes, I've
like
seen that, yeah.
they will go through deep depression.
Or you watch that
And stuff
Netflix
like that.
special, Blackfish,
Yeah,
when the mother orca gets her babies taken from her. And
yeah, yeah.
heavy stuff, man.
That orca just died.
Really?
As a matter of fact, yeah, just a few days ago, it was in the news. But you know, I truly feel that animals feel that. Like I see it with my wife's cat. Like he literally everywhere she goes, he is. He literally is like probably a 12-pound cat. He's huge. He's like the size of a small dog, and literally crawls up on her chest like he's still a kitten. You know, like to come up and just like drool all over her, and like just to be intoxicated with love. You know, and like when she's gone, he walks around the house and yowls and looks for her. You know,
I'd say maybe
I
most
remember
mammals, I feel like, have some kind of love.
Yeah, like I remember my grandfather's cat Tessie. After he died, like we literally had to have Tessie put down. She stopped eating, she went into a huge depression, she would just go and sit by his bedroom door and yowl all day. Like she was looking for him and she couldn't find him and she didn't know what was wrong.
That's crazy.
And just went into a depression and stopped eating and stopped cleaning herself and literally just got to the point of straight death from sorrow for missing him. That was the first experience I'd ever had like that with an animal, where it was like, wow, like that's like connection.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild, but you know, it happens all the time. I see it. Yeah, I definitely believe animals are fully capable of love, fully. Beyond the concept of mating for life and everything else, you know, even just the way they defend their young, you know, to the death.
Now, is that love or is that just instinct?
Well, and you know, it's kind of like asking the question.
Instinct?
It's kind of like asking the question of, is AI programmed or is it thinking? You know, a lot of what we do is socially programmed into us. And that's what I was talking about with the concept of love as men in society. Because we as men, depending on the society you grew up in, depending on the family and the environment you grew up in, we all have different concepts of what love is and how to express that love. Like I was saying earlier, there's some guys I know where it's like, they don't like I cuddle with my wife all the time. Like I'm up in her grill constantly, you know, probably to an annoying point to her sometimes. I love her so much, but not every dude is cuddly like that because it just yeah man, like that's not cool.
Not every woman is either.
Yeah, and not every woman is either. So like we are somewhat socially programmed, not just by our families and the environment around us. But movies that we watch, things that we listen to, stuff like that. Music has definitely, even from the 80s, in the 80s, you still had some songs like Huey Lewis that were about love, things like that. And then it just became like, whoa, that's just racy as all hell. And it got racier and racier and racier and racier to where suddenly it's like the sweat dripping off my balls. And, you know, and that's a hit, and it's on the radio.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's what makes a good love song or a good love story. Or
well,
love
that's the
movie,
thing, though.
They actually sell you, and you actually feel like
well,
there is love there.
Well, and that to me is an issue, though, because is that a proper concept? Like, once you hear that message enough, that message becomes okay.
Well, what's your opinion? Is it a good love movie? Is it a good love story?
Well,
everybody's opinion's going to be different.
Well, true, it's going to be different. But I'm talking about music and things like that, where it literally starts to change the way society sees love. Like I was telling Jer earlier, there's this phenomenon going on, and I just saw a girl that I know on Facebook that's in her mid-20s that posted it. Like, when I get married, I want my own bedroom and my own bathroom. Some what? Mm-hmm. Like, why don't you just shack up? Mm-hmm. Why don't you just have a roommate? Like, you know, I don't know. I don't see that as a marriage, per se, not in the concept that I know.
I have a friend who's in that same situation right now, you know, lives in his own room. You know, and I asked him, he's but I love her, you know, and she just, we aren't on the same team anymore. So,
yeah,
you know, but you know, and I've seen, you know, let's talk about, you know, I guess we'll take it back to marriages. You know, I've seen there's different types of marriages.
Oh, sure,
people who love each other. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
And even my marriage has changed. You know, a few times on the way we love each other. You know, there was, you know, we had the super cuddly, we had the, you know, do our own thing phase, and
yeah, and you know, I guess to me, I've seen over the years teaching the way I did and working with junior high and high school students and young adults. I've kind of seen this trend come about that there is a disconnection. There's the whole concept of hooking up was much more prominent. Where, literally you were just getting together to make out and do it and stuff like that. And, is that necessarily a healthy thing? Is that really feeding into your concept of love, or is that the concept of infatuation? Kind of like Pink Floyd said, was it love or was it the idea of being in love? True. And I know people that jump from relation. I know people that got married after dating somebody for 6 months. One of the most solid couples that I know that work together as a couple. They have 2 kids. They live in L.A. John and Ginger Crawford, married at 16.
That's wild.
Married at 16.
How old are they?
They're my age. They're in their 40s. Like, we went to college together.
Oh, okay.
We went to college together.
I'm thinking of.
I don't know. But, and mature couple, like, open discussion couple. They sit back and have philosophic debates. They have differing opinions on things. They're okay with that. And to me, that's what love is. Love is an unbroken barrier. There is no wall there. Like I was telling you earlier, my wife and I had a long courtship. It was a couple years long. I was on paper at the time. We referred to our first part of it as our fugitive love period, because I was locked down to the Tri-County area. So every once in a while I would buy a Greyhound ticket leaving from Katy, where I didn't have to go through security. And I would Greyhound to Austin for the weekend and be with her. That was our fugitive love time. And she would come to Houston for the weekend and like get a motel room, and we'd hang out, stuff like that, go to the museum and just go to lunch. And but even during that time, while she was saying love, I was saying loke.
I loke you.
I loke you.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that.
It's a term that I coined. It's a term that I came up.
It's a Jordanism.
It's a Jordanism, yeah. And it's the combination of a deep liking and love. I'm not to the point where I am comfortable saying I love you yet, and that's a very honest thing to say. It's a very honest and open, communicative thing to say in a relationship. Not that I'm not working on that. Not that we aren't getting there. But I'm definitely to the point that, like, I like you. Like, I would check yes if you sent me the note in class, bro. Like, I'd check yes. Most definitely. I like you.
Shit.
So it's like and beginning of love. That's love.
My girlfriend was really surprised how quick I told her I loved her, but we were friends for like 2 years before we started dating, and I loved her when we were friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. There's a concept of platonic love to begin with, and like I have females that I love as friends, like absolutely. When I get off the phone with them, I love you. No problem. I got no problem saying it. My wife has no problem hearing it. She knows what it is. And it's the fact of I love them that much. And the fact that I think that that's a hugely important thing in a relationship, for you to be friends first. Because technically, once you get into that monogamous relationship, and it goes forward and it leads to marriage and years of marriage, you better be each other's best friend. Like, me and my wife are each other. Like, we complete each other's sentences. We finish each other's jokes. We're absolutely best friends. Most people are like, oh my God, how do you deal with being like both self-employed and like just being in the house together all day? That must be nuts, just like being up in each other's grill. And it's like, no, it's actually all right. It's pretty cool.
The point of getting married?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, why would you not want to spend like every waking moment that you could with your significant other?
I feel like if you propose to somebody, you're basically saying, do you want to
Do you want to spend the rest of your life with
Well,
me?
and
That's what
so often a marriage is looked at as we were saying earlier off air, as a business decision, and the 80s begat the age of the prenup and stuff like that. I look at people like my dad, who's been married 7 times to 6 wives. One of them came back and renewed vows. And right now, his wife is the woman that he was seeing on the side with my mom while he was dating her in high school. So there's a loop-de-loop and a time warp for you.
Yeah.
So if I was to follow that concept of love, and that example in my life,
love right now.
Yeah, and it's not that they're in love there. It's that due to his upbringing and the family that he was brought up in, there wasn't a lot of love. He had a very alcoholic. My grandfather was literally. They had a gas station back in the day. You could sell alcohol at a gas station in Texas, liquor, and they couldn't let Papa behind the counter. You need to stay out in the shop. He can't be near that liquor, man. They'd find half-empty bottles of whiskey tucked into used tires. So their concept of love was a little bit different. There are some healthy members of that side of my family, and there are some unhealthy members in that side of my family, as far as that went. And to me, it does come down to the point of, number one, you have to love yourself, but you've got to love them as a friend. Your significant other. When it comes to a romantic love, it's gotta start with a friendship, and that mutual respect as people, that understanding that what you do to complete yourself, I can't take away from you. Because that's what makes you. It'd be like if your lady asked you to stop playing guitar because it's kind of noisy sometimes.
That wouldn't happen.
Yeah, but the thing is, it does sometimes. I remember my ex in Maine didn't like the way I sang. I would write songs and pass them by her and check out the song I wrote. I hate the way you sing, and that would be the first thing she said. I stopped writing lyric music. And now it's real hard for me to put pen to paper with a guitar. After 9 years, it was something that I sacrificed because it apparently annoyed her. So if it bothers you, I won't do it. Okay.
I got a 12-piece drum set for free from a friend's dad because his mom made him get rid of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
Hey,
He scored.
my wife now lets me have the studio at home. We have a studio outside the home for both of our podcasts. She is the most allowable person in the world with gear and stuff like that because she knows most of it that I buy nowadays, I'm going to be cross-renting with my career. So, I'm going to be using it for projects that I'll be making money with. Yeah. And expensive pieces, the agreement is if it doesn't pay off in 6 months, I will sell it. If it's not paid for in 6 months, I'll sell it. But things like this microphone that we're using, it's hey, bills paid? Yep. Cool. You can get it. She knows that it goes to what I love doing, and it goes through that to allow me to have fun and do the things that I love.
Yeah.
Live your life.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think a lot of our society nowadays just shows a twisted view of these things. Really twisted view of it. There is the new show, what is it, Us, or something like that. I think it's on ABC. That's very much
About Us.
About Us, or something like that. Yeah,
I've actually watched that.
Yeah, I watched an episode with my wife the other day.
They adopted a third child because one of their children died in labor, and so it's an interracial family.
Yeah.
So, and it's all about that dynamic, and then the dynamic between the two brothers as they get older.
Yep.
It's actually a pretty good show. Actually.
Well, no, and that's just it. I think it shows a really honest view of a family and the things that go on and the drama. Yeah. But it also shows a very healthy view of how they are dealing with it.
Yeah.
and how they deal with each other and how they deal with each other as people, caringly, lovingly. Because it is self-sacrifice. You know, being a part of a family is a sacrifice.
Absolutely.
You know? And that's something I'm going to be learning rapidly as a father.
Oh, you'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be
You're gonna
great.
a good father.
I'm going to love it. It's going to be awesome.
No,
I'm going to build little mazes with cheese and shit for him to go through.
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
Wait till they're in school.
Having a mouse or a child?
You're
Oh,
gonna
no,
join
it's
the
a
PTA,
child.
You're going to be the DJ for the school. You're
Right.
going to take over all the AV needs.
Baseball coach.
Right? You're right. Yeah, he'll be helping me build soldering. He'll be soldering with me at age 9.
Yeah.
You know? Building circuits. Here you go, kid.
So
I'll
what
pay
did, you,
you.
what did you love doing when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, quite honestly,
No.
what I loved doing
Yes.
was inventing.
Twiddling around.
I was
You're
an
a
inventor.
tinkerer.
I was a tinkerer.
Yeah.
I literally had some notebooks that my mom gave me, like presentation notebooks, like folios that you would like put a professional project, like a prospectus in, and like I had all my designs in it. And yeah, my family would give me like boxes of broken electronics, and I'd take them apart and tinker with them and figure them out and make other things out of them. 3/4 of the time they didn't work. And then one day in life, I built a speakerphone that plugged into my stereo. And it was like, whoa, I just made a speakerphone, man. That's crazy. And yeah, it was something that, and I just did a Thinking Deeply episode where I was talking about it because it was something that was me. And my cousin came to me, and it was actually on our trip from Maine. He flew up to Maine, and then we drove back in my Taurus hauling a U-Haul from Maine to Texas. And, you know, we were just talking the whole time, and he was like, you know when it really changed for you? When I really saw you change was when you came back from the seminary. You didn't invent anymore. You didn't play with electronics. And it was like, you know, it was like almost like you'd outgrown it or something. Like it was stupid. And it was such a part of you. It was such a thing that defined you. And I don't know why you ever stopped doing that. I was like, well, you know, I kind of do the same thing now, just with sound systems, you know, and with home recording equipment. Then one day I wanted to build an optical theremin. I was like, I know a guy that said he used to build them, and he's not, like, apt with electronics. And he said he built them. So I should be able to build one. So I started looking it up, and, like, before I knew it, I taught myself to read schematics. And, like, I was, like, modding guitar pedals and, like, taking things apart with, like, reckless abandon. My wife brought me a broken Simon game, and I actually fixed it and made it work. And then I took out the lamps and replaced them with the RGB ultra bright LEDs, so it like doesn't drain the battery as fast. And then I like put in a 1/4-inch jack with a switch, so you could like put it into an amp and like play like a boss. Like, and it was like, wow. Yeah, I feel like a kid again.
So the theremin brought you back?
Yeah, like it utterly brought back this whole cycle in life. And at that point, once I started Austin Hot Mods and stuff, and I designed a few pedals, I had never put them into production and stuff. But I distinctly brought my mom one of those folio books. And I was like, I want you to look at this. She's like, oh, it's your old invention book. Cool, you found it. I'm like, no, look at it now. And it was all schematic drawings of the circuits that I designed, like my optical theremin, my mic pre, you know, distortion pedal, tremolo. Like, I'm like, it's a reality now. Like, you gave me that in the 7th grade, and I'm like 38, and it's a reality now. Like, it took that long for that love to be realized. You know?
That's cool.
It was literally a lifelong. But that's what I loved as a kid, was tinkering with electronics.
I guess I was a bit of a tinkerer myself, but what I loved freaking doing was I had some cassette decks.
Yeah,
I do like tape edits or record music, be my own DJ.
Sure,
so I did that for years, dude. That was my own DJ,
making mixtapes and stuff. Yeah. Totally.
I was totally into that back in the day, and I love sports. Always loved doing sports when I was younger. It was a outlet, I guess. Yeah. And then to go all the way back to the beginning, and I was thinking about it the whole time, and I suppose really the first time I really knew I loved something was my dog. I think that's my very first memory as a kid is the dog Spooky.
What kind of dog?
It was, it's like one of those mixed, but it was like a wiener dog and I don't know, it wasn't German Shepherd, but it looked like a big, giant, fat wiener dog is what it looked like. Yeah. It was black and white, but it was spooky, and the dog, they always told me stories that the dog would always follow me everywhere and was my protector, like growled at other people that came near me. And I always I saw a picture one time, and I'm just laying on top of the dog. The dog's like, I'm like literally a baby on top of the dog, and the dog was like walking me down the street or something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice. What about you, Matt? What was your thing as a kid? What were you in love with doing?
What was your thing?
I loved the World Wrestling Federation. I really did.
I did like that as a kid too.
My WWF action figures and the whole, the ring and the cage and the announce tables and the ramp and the backstage.
Don't say it was Shane, dude. That shit was
dude. I had the whole
Andre the Giant.
That and before that was like Legos and making logs.
Yeah,
I used to love those.
I had a Capsella set. That was like for the uber nerds. It was like these little orbs, like these little hollow orbs that you could connect, and they were made these little space age things, and they had like some floats and fans and stuff, so you could like put them in the water, and they'd like float around like little boats. It was crazy.
Never seen those before.
Yeah. Capsella was uber nerd stuff. Like, you were an uber nerd if you had Capsella shit.
And your parents had some.
I actually saw an article recently. I posted it on Dudes and Beer on Facebook, on the Dudes and Beer group. This dude, I want to say out of Australia, has actually created some new interlinking blocks that are mini electronic circuits. And they're compatible with Legos. Some of them are rechargeable little lithium batteries, and they have like LEDs and stuff like that. And you can like motorize the cars that you make out of Legos and stuff like that. Damn. Yeah, it's pretty dope. And they're all like, they look just like a Lego, but they're coated with like chrome so that they pass electricity.
Have you seen the circuit pen?
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yes.
You just draw, and it creates an electric circuit. And they have these, this LED light here, this little fan here, and they were just connecting the circuit from the power source to each. Yeah.
It's conductive ink
circuit with this freaking this pen.
Wow. Yeah, it's conductive ink.
And then not only that, then it would harden, and then they would like fold it up and move it, so it was like a pliable link between it was pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, man. I
love science.
Yeah, I have a conductive pen. I also have just a jar of conductive ink. Like I can make anything conductive.
Nice. Oh, I'm excited to see.
Really making it.
So, speaking of love, I mean, of course, all right. One thing that guys are passionate about: action movies, man. We all love our action movies. We all love movies like that. What did y'all think of Rogue One? Because I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I go to fucking Comic-Cons and shit like that. I dress up. Probably every few cons I'll put on a costume or something. but I love it. I'm an uber nerd, and I love Star Wars.
I like the movie, but without, it's still in theaters. I don't want to spoil it for people if they're listening. But
it's been out long enough. Spoiler alerts, whatever.
The ending is sad. It just left me like
the whole movie's the ending is The New Hope, man.
I know. Well, if you watched Luke Skywalker directly after that, you're like, okay, I feel better about myself. There's a new hope. Yes, he saved the day. They killed the Death Star, but the ending, just is the Death Star destroying everything. It's like, boom, you're dead. And Darth Vader's just mowing through people.
Just mowing people down, dude.
There's 31, 32.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, just body count, man.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's okay. It's Layla. She gets away. Okay. Luke's going to come save the day. But damn it, they all died.
I thought the major theme of the movie was the power of the Force, even though it's at a time where the Force looks like it's extinct almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the guy, the blind guy, I don't remember his name, and I don't remember really any of the characters' names.
The Force and the Forces.
Yeah, and how everyone that was every person that was in Rogue One or on the ship all went down. They all perished.
But they did it for
but they accomplished the
love of
mission.
the cause.
Yeah.
They all did it out of love, I suppose.
That's right.
Love of the cause,
Yeah. Well, love of freedom.
Exactly.
Love of not having your fucking planet blown up.
Well, of course. I mean, if my planet's going to get blown up, I'm going to die for the cause. Too. Still going to be sad about it, though.
Yeah. And, I thought it was really well done. I thought it was a great marriage between Force Awakens and New Hope. I'm excited to see what's coming up next. I was very sad when Carrie Fisher died, but very happy to hear that they had already completed her filming and stuff like that for the next one. But one of the things I loved,
hey, at least the story.
One of the things I loved, because it was a character that I always loved, was the reappearance of Grand Moff Tarkin and the way that they brought him back. That was like, that was great. That was really, really well done.
I suppose he passed away.
Yeah. No,
Lando Calrissian. I thought maybe they would bring him back, but is he?
No, he didn't become part of the rebellion until Empire. He had alliances. He was basically paying off the Empire didn't pay attention.
Wait, who? Lando?
Yeah.
No, he was in the end. I forget who the other person was, but they were walking and talking with him, and they were saying, you got to talk to that Jedi friend of yours or whatever. And they were obviously talking about Leia, because he was like, I trust her with my life. Talking about getting the message to her. He was in the movie for sure.
Lando Calrissian?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to watch it again.
The guy that...
Feel free to comment on that, folks.
The guy that...
Let us know on Facebook.
At the end of 3 is in the thing with Obi-Wan. If that's Lando, then he was in the movie.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he was, dude.
I'll have to check it out.
All right.
I'll have to watch it again, which I don't have a problem with. But I loved it. Thought it was great.
I would definitely go see it.
Thought it was great.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely adds to the whole, series of movies and explains a couple things for sure. The fight scenes are awesome. It was good to see the freaking giant. What are those? AT-ATs or?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
AT.
Yeah.
Those were always my favorite.
Yeah, I love those.
I always had those models.
Oh, the big walker.
Yeah,
okay.
the four-legged walker that you see in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Those kind of were always big, massively.
Yeah. And what I love about it most, and the same thing with Force Awakens, is that they went back to physical sets. They went back to a lot of physical characters, stuff like that. So not as much CG as it used to be.
It was really, a good blend.
Yeah.
The kids loved it.
Oh, yeah. It was.
I took them to that movie and then went and borrowed the box set. And then they, for like 2 weeks, that's all they watched was those 6 movies.
Nice.
That's all they watched, and then now they know the whole story. They'll be like, hey, here's that's
nice.
They even understood the Rogue Squadron movie.
That's pretty much what happened with me. Was when 1 came out, episode 1, when I was like 9 years old. I had never seen episode 4, 5, or 6.
Okay.
So once 1 came out, I was like, oh man, I want to go watch 4, 5, and 6. And
it's interesting because the Star Wars franchise, and with these new movies, it's one of the only movies or franchises ever where you literally see 3 generations of people in the audience that have all seen the movies in the theater. Going to see it right now, there's my mom, and she took us to go see him, and now we're taking it's like there's 3 generations of us going to see it as a family, because it's what we did as a family back then, and those were family movies. They were great,
It just shows Disney's smart.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
And they're making a whole lot of money.
A whole boatload of money.
With
A whole
Marvel,
boatload.
too.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, and I love what they're
Disney
doing.
owns Marvel, too?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes, they have actually purchased Marvel Comics. They own Marvel.
That's wild.
Yeah. So get ready for a whole bunch of fun stuff with the Infinity series and stuff like that. It's gonna be a laugh riot in a few years as far as comic books go. But on that note, folks, think about things whenever it comes to love. Take your time with it. Really, really process it. Try and find yourself. Try and center yourself in life, because that's when you'll really start to see things in a different light on a daily basis. That's when you'll really start to notice things happening in a different way. That's when you'll be open to the experience, and that to me is what love is really, really all about. Is being open to the experience, being open to somebody else, and being open to the world around us. So, on that note, everybody, thanks so much for tuning into episode 86 of Dudes and Beer, live from Las Vegas. Take care, and if you can't be good, remember, be good at it. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dudes and Beer Podcast. To listen to our live audio streams, tune in at dudesandbeer.com or Spreaker.com/dudesandbeer. You can find our episodes on SoundCloud.com as well as the Google Play and iTunes market. You can also find us on YouTube, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast service. Dudes and Beer is a proud member of the Revolution Digital Group family of podcasts. Thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, drink responsibly.